Disclaimer, y'all. Yes, there are good things about this school. I done graduated. We out, we done, and we finished. We in college. They helped me get there. I'm grateful, not wasteful. So applause and say thank you. But like other businesses discussed in this little sub is a scam series under this conspiracy theory series. We acknowledge the positive, but we don't let it be an excuse for the shady things that we're gonna have to get into. No exceptions. So I don't want no orange and blue van sitting outside my house waiting to kidnap me after this is up. First Amendment protection under my show. Now roll the clip.
Go to the calm-down chair and sit.
She angrily tears up a first-grade student's work.
There's nothing that infuriates me more than when you don't do what's on your paper.
I think this video is 100% a reflection of the culture at that school.
Very upset and very disappointed.
One of us need to take the seat.
Success Academy propped open those bright blue doors in August 2006 to 165 unsuspecting to 165 little scholars in Harlem. Wait, is that number right? Wait, where's my... No. I did not just open up this show by myself. And I'm the one that be delaying the show. Incompetent duds. 4 months of planning. We've had it to here. I just can't believe this is finally happening. I can't take another second of him in that chair. Never again will that office see his face. For real this time. Just remember what we said. Together. No leader. Together. Together.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message.
Let me check these security cameras. So who want their neck wrung first? Uh-huh. Yeah, it's me, your boss. I just over here started the show already thinking y'all and the others were already here. And y'all chilling outside? I start mid-sentence and the gathered info is nowhere to be found? Ah, you know what, colleagues? This is exactly why y'all not in my league. In the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers meeting is this. In the office now, Powerpuff duds. Hello? We won't be coming. And we mean business. Excuse me? I must ain't hear that right. We won't becoming. Are you crazy? We got people out there waiting for a new episode. Oh, they're gonna get this episode, but not from you. What are you talking about? Never again will they get an episode from you. You've brought torture and pain to the series for far too long, and we're not dumb. But I figured you know that with the way that we work. We know you murdered our old boss. We have had it. We tried to kill you, you escaped it. But you know what, we're glad that you did. Death is too good for you. No, we decided you need to be alive. You need a life. And why is that? So we can make you suffer for the rest of it. Now you love your precious series more than anything in the world, right? Conspiracy theories, the series. Do anything for your precious chair. I mean, you killed for it. I'm not confirming anything. Get to the point. The St. Jude scam has become the most popular episode in this series. Must hurt you wasn't even there to present that one. May our old boss rest in peace. But you made it pretty clear. You came up with that idea before we killed you. I'll be out there with my point of a pencil in your eye before you get to yours. Yes, all credit for that video still goes to me. Well, then you'll be happy to know that St. Jude is suing you for libel. Not the series, you. Libel. Defamation of character. And you know they'll win. You know why? That video was surfing around on the internet on the biggest wave this show has ever made. They're losing business because of it. Because of you. You damaged their reputation and you can't even prove that everything that was said is true. Because that's what the show is, right? Conspiracy theories. How do you think conspiracy theories is going to hold up in a courtroom going against St. Jude Children's Research Hospital? We wish that we could see the look on your face right now. But you know what we decided? Even after all the mess, we still care about our OG boss, the main character. We worked with St. Jude to come to an agreement. You leave this business forever. No longer in this line of work. And this all remains quiet. No lawsuit, you'll be safe. You won't have to lose anything because you know when you lose this case, it'll destroy you. But of course, you knew that losing my show would destroy me too. You deserve worse. But the thing is, we don't even want to see you rot in jail. We want you on the streets, free, alive, knowing you can never set foot in that office and your chair ever again in life. I stay, and I do this episode, and I get sued by St. Jude. I throw my show in the garbage forever, and I'm safe. Like a banker. Well then, congratulations. You won. They'll be calling you shortly. Please hold. St. Jude, y'all win. I know how hard lawsuits can be, but y'all know y'all win like 50 times. I'm not gonna try to win this one. I've won before. But I see that this is a battle I'm supposed to lose. I'm on my way out now. Colleagues! I say miss y'all, but all I gotta do is turn on the Animal Planet at home. You know, I see y'all running around with the muskrats on Channel 130. My last words though, Stockholm Syndrome. You will miss me! Wait! What? Whatever field you find work in next, we hope you get a nice boss.
and the Trunchbull was gone, never to be seen or heard from, never to darken a doorway again.
Welcome. We attempted to start a new era in this series when we thought an evil spirit was dead, but now we killed them on the inside. This is no longer Conspiracy Theories, the series. It is now Theory City, ran by us, the colleagues, not by any one leader. Today I will be taking the chair for this installment, and you'll get to meet all of us eventually as we will switch new person each episode. Now, what you came here for, business as usual. Success Academy Charter Schools is a charter school operator in New York City that was founded by former city council member, CEO Eva Moskowitz under the belief that all students deserve an equal chance to a high quality education, to provide enthusiasm for learning, to turn kids into confident, thriving adults. From day one, preaching that college is the goal, down to naming homeroom classes after the colleges the teachers went to their now 49 schools in the Bronx, Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Queens with over 17,000 students. Just mix together rigid discipline with a progressive curriculum and a random lottery deciding admission, and you get this fascinating attempt in education reform. Success, success, success. Now, me and the rest of my colleagues have gathered extensive information, but if you spend any amount of time in this school, then you already get what I mean, but we're about to dig all the way in. Named as the largest and most controversial charter school network in the city, riddled with a long history full of mixed emotions, test scores, protests, scandals, homework, claps, magic fives, bubbles in the mouths, zero noise, silent cheers, rallies, and marches across the Brooklyn Bridge for space and shady business. They claim to be set apart from other schools because they are more than a school, and sure is. Which brings us into topic 1, lawsuits. Success is praised for their rigorous curriculum, which includes having kids learn chess in elementary school. Chess team, former. In 2023, a New York City chess master accused the school of racism in a $64 million lawsuit. Gerald Times stated, "It's about challenging the culture of racial discrimination at Success Academy," about his lawsuit. Being their former chess director, he says he believes he was fired for speaking against a separate but equal doctrine that saw Black educators sidelined to benefit less qualified white employees. Times worked with the school for 2 years as a chess master just to get replaced by a white worker without a college degree. Now, how you preaching college to the kids, but you hiring an irregular trend with businesses we've discussed here. They refuse to comment. Yet, they point out a stat that 55% of teachers at that school are not white, and stated the issues you present ignore our excellent track record of hiring and promoting educators of color. Once again, we see deflection and not dealing with the real issue by pointing out something that seems positive as if it just erases or provides an excuse for the misconduct. In his lawsuit, he states that the school appointed a white job applicant over 5 more qualified people of color, as well as directing Times to demote 3 Black teachers. He says Success Academy's chess manager routinely gave Black chess coaches lower evaluations than their white counterparts and denied them promotions. They furloughed their basketball coaches, who were mostly Black, but didn't do the same for its white soccer coaches. Success Academy demanded a Black man with a physics PhD first be fingerprinted, submit to an extensive background check, and be tested for drugs before speaking at an online chess tournament. 2 other white guest speakers did not go through the same process, and only one was fingerprinted. Now, this is all in his lawsuit, and soon after this chess master spoke his mind, he received a mediocre evaluation, a demotion, and a salary cut, which he also states in his lawsuit. Now, his attorney says that this school appears to have a track record of discriminating against African American employees, specifically in the chess program. Before firing Times in November 2020, Success took the chess program away and replaced him with a staffer who only had a high school diploma, as again stated in his lawsuit. You're not respecting degrees within the program, he said. It means credentials are secondary. And in 2021, the school was ordered to pay a fine of $2.4 million to settle a claim of discrimination against 5 learning disabled children. Now, although they advertised their commitment to children from all backgrounds, families of 5 young Black students with learning and other disabilities sued after the children were pushed out of a Success Academy school in Brooklyn. They even tried to keep a secret gotta go list. I believe it. They had a secret little got to go list with the students on it, as reported by New York Times in October 2015, which singled out the students they wanted to push out, including these 5 children. You guys, now you see, our old boss would have made a joke right here about how he gotta go list, but right there he would have been like, oh, I got a couple of y'all, my got to go list. Good thing we made him go instead.
Are charter schools guilty of weeding out difficult kids? And is this undermining their overall mission? In October, the New York Times broke the story that a principal at the charter school network Success Academy targeted a group of students to be pushed out of his school, maintaining a secret got-to-go list.
Now, we're quoting from the second lawsuit here. The case charged that Success Academy engaged in practices targeting students with disabilities in order to force them to withdraw. The practices detailed in the suit included regularly removing the children from the classroom and calling the parents multiple times daily. The justice in this case, quote, underscores the need for schools to cease doling out harsh punishments for minor infractions that can interrupt children's academic progress and divert them into the school-to-prison pipeline. They were called out for having a harsh, one-size-fits-all approach to discipline. These children and their families were forced to withdraw from Success, not only because their educational needs were not being met, but also because they were explicitly not welcome there. Here we have another quote about this lawsuit. Success Academy forced these families to withdraw their children by bullying and daily harassment instead of providing a quality education free from discrimination. New York's parents and children deserve better, and we are pleased these families achieved justice. The litigation centered on 5 children, then a mere 4 to 5 years old, with diagnosed or perceived disabilities. Success did not provide appropriate accommodations and frequently dismissed the students prior to the end of the school day, often for behaviors like fidgeting and pouting. They also threatened to call child welfare authority. I didn't even read this part. I believe it. They threatened to call child welfare authorities to investigate the children's families, and even sent one child to a hospital psychiatric unit. Each family eventually removed their child from the Success Academy network. Well, I do remember that part we was going over, but as reading it again out loud, y'all must be sitting at home ooh. Some parents of special needs students at Success have complained of overly strict disciplinary policies, which have resulted in high rates of suspension and attempts to pressure the parents to transfer their special needs children out of the schools. State records and interviews with 24 parents indicate that the schools failed at times to adhere to federal and state laws in disciplining special education students. In April 2019, a former Success Academy parent filed an official complaint on the grounds that Success systematically removes students with disabilities. The DOE found that Success failed to meet legal requirements for those students. Now, if you fail to meet a legal requirement, what they do to the people on the street that fail to meet the law. And in the third lawsuit we're talking about today, the school also refused for 5 years to produce documentation of how students were treated, and instead settled to pay $1.1 million plus additional legal fees so that these documents would never see the light of day. Now, there's no way I would pay that much if there was nothing to hide on these documents, and if all these students were actually being treated fairly under the law. So whatever is in these documents getting out would be a way worse situation apparently for them than giving up millions to keep hush, since they did it. Which brings us to topic number 2, Shady stats. Now, in a quote, Moskowitz states that with this school, she wants to give poor kids the same opportunities that rich kids had. Now, hey, I went there. Now, I ain't poor. Yeah. Yet, despite this comment, during an event, she was quick to point out that she did not create Success Academy for poor kids or for Black children or for Latino children. Rather, she wanted to create the most magical schooling environment possible. Now, step up in any one of those schools, you know what you gonna see. Wanna give poor kids chances. They say you ain't make it for poor kids. And they done group minorities with the poor kid. You know what you're doing. But regardless, mind-blowing statistics, scores always at the top, well above the other city public schools, so that must mean all that other stuff just doesn't matter, right? Now, 3rd through 8th grade, the importance of the New York State standardized test is stressed and drilled into these kids' brains so much that it's easy to fall into the trap early on of thinking that this test actually mattered for us, mattered when it came to advancing grades. The only benefit we see from this test is that success gets to brag each year about having scores on the top compared to the rest in the city. These grades don't come back until it's already time for kids to advance to the next grade. Yet preparing for this test is what they are now giving practice tests every day for. I mean, if you're not meeting expectations on the work, then clearly they're gonna hold you back. But there's also clearly another motive behind this test, the way they stress it like it's life and death. Had a whole pep rally each year to gather the schools to slam the exam, right? Till we got an inviter for being too noisy. At a loud pep rally party. At the end of the day, they're kids, not a robot. So, let's open the doors a little bit to real life and not the blue and orange carpet daydream. But of course, that's what this school wants you to be. And even though they offer K through 12, why do you think they really don't allow any new students to join past the 4th grade? Some exceptions for 5th and 6th, but still, you have to be conditioned and grow up in their little robot fantasy world to be just how they like you. And if not, gotta go, let's push them out. But what happened to I want to give the poor project kids a rich kid school? But back to the state test. Now, like I said, this test was stressed as the most serious of serious, the biggest thing you're doing the whole school year. So, they had proctors come into the school, to make sure that everything was running accordingly, because it was very strict. Like, the teachers absolutely cannot talk to us at all. Most certainly couldn't help us. We couldn't ask a question about it. Like, unless we was dying, phones couldn't be in the room. There was a phone bin, collect everything. If something made noise, all failed. But very, very grand, very important. If you even discussed it after it was over, you would go to jail. It was illegal to discuss the contents and duplicate the contents and to talk during it. So now that y'all have the importance drilled into your mind, when we gathered this information, we're not gonna say the source or any specific names or schools. This is very confidential. You didn't hear it here stuff. But we got a pretty good source over here at Derry City. So at an unnamed school in New York City, teachers were found not only talking to students during the test, y'all. Teachers were found helping students on state exams. You didn't hear it here, but it's dead serious. Them teachers was sitting there helping the kids, leading over their papers, telling them what to go back to, telling them what to check over, giving answers. Where's the proctor? I know when I was in there, the teacher would have went to jail for that. Now, I know them rules didn't change. They stressed the importance even during the dress rehearsal, the rehearsal of the exam. But no, this wasn't even that even. The real actual New York State test, there were teachers that up in there that was... Now that was the most mind-blowing thing that came up to us during this research together. 2 things they could go to jail for in this school. So how real are these stats then? While they keep making money off these kids, why you think they was pushing out the ones that they thought were completely incapable and giving answers to the others? Anything for that perfect little image. But that's long gone now, so why not just fix the problem? We have statistics here gathered by the DOE that shows much higher rates of suspension at most Success Academy schools than at public schools. School spokesmen have denied proper treatment of any student, and the founder has defended school practices as promoting order and civility in the classroom. Now this next segment is going to be full of quotes and instances from the Survivors of Success Academy page. So let's dive into behind the scenes. This first one is from someone who worked there. We're currently in summer training and are being told to not document anything that we wouldn't want in the news. Leadership's now telling us to keep interactions with parents via text and email to a minimum so that there's no evidence of the poor behavior we subject them to. We're even being told not to discuss all the wrongdoings that take place within the school with fellow coworkers via Slack, text, or email so that there isn't any documentation of it. I believe it. Oh, and as you can see, this is all intentional. Another quote here. Students who were 1 minute late for breakfast had the doors closed on them and weren't allowed to eat, even though there was so much excess food left over that was thrown out. I believe it. These students were taking public transportation in Brooklyn to get to school at 6:45 a.m. so that they could have a proper meal, and they were refused it. Since we're on the topic of food, another quote. I snuck as many extra cereal boxes as I could in my bag every day and gave them to kids who were visibly hungry and therefore couldn't focus, and were then of course switched from green to yellow to red for behavior. These children were 5 years old, some were even 4, for wanting to eat. Now the real scam, a lot of these people ain't noticing them uniforms. Those expensive uniforms. Here's an email from them directly. This is during COVID when we was online. Scholars will be required to wear uniforms during remote learning this year. In addition to serving as a visual reminder of the distinction between free time and the school day for scholars, uniforms also help us maintain a culture of unity, connecting us as a school community even when we are physically apart. Be sure your scholar has the uniform items needed to start the school year looking sharp.
Sitting at home on the camera?
No, you still want the income from the uniforms. You care if they at home with the tie and the button up and tucked in, like if you buy a new one every year, they keep changing it. We sure ain't giving to that. I don't know who throw that in the drawing room. And during COVID, the reason we're even on the Zoom in the first place, you know, people struggling. And you still don't care. Uniforms at home, even during all this pandemic. On to another quote that I believe. My school is one of the few in the network that is very white. We are constantly told that many of the successy practices aren't needed here. Teachers regularly call our school Disneyland. I believe it. Because we have so few behavioral outliers and the essay rules never really apply to us. Behavioral outliers, they just want them to the perfect robot standards. That makes you open your eyes. What's really the behavioral issues that they looking at? Yet another food instance. A kid was saying they was hungry, so a teacher thought this is ridiculous and went to get her lunch for myself, reading the quote. When I set it in front of her, the lead teacher grabbed it off the table and said that she wasn't to have food. I was shocked. I didn't know what to do. Reported it to the office manager and to the principal. The teacher remained in the classroom and my report was seemingly ignored. I believe it. I was an associate teacher in kindergarten, and after my students took their first math assessment, the lead teacher gave Oreos and cupcakes to the students who did well. She would call their names and have them come one by one to the front of the class to get their treat. Students who didn't do well had to watch them eat their treats and put their heads down. I gave my notice that day. Another quote from the founder. I imagine that if you could educate tens of thousands of students, mostly of color, especially well, they would get into the halls of power and they would most effectively combat institutional racism. But not addressing that it's already in your school and not waiting 20 years to deal with it. And how about addressing now? They didn't create the problem. Don't think, oh, we're going to educate them to grow up and solve this problem. when there's something you could be doing right now, at least holding these people accountable. And when a question was asked about anti-racism on a New York City Board of Trustees call, the response from the founder reportedly was, I'll get back to you. Or, sorry, I'll get back to you. Let me stop. And this is where the dilemma comes, and we're gonna find this out through a quote from a parent. Coming across your page or reading other stories and experiences have really been eye-opening. I've kept my son in this school because I know the local public school is severely lacking and underperforming as I live in the South Bronx. My son isn't the same happy-go-lucky kid he used to be, and I wonder if this school and the way he's being treated for simply being a kid is why. See, they have the advanced curriculum, but at the same time, all this other jumbled mess, they make you feel trapped because all these other, you're not gonna leave to go to one of those. But we still doing all the shady stuff at the top. It's people that make through and survive, but it's not for everybody, and there are other good ones. So that we're gonna talk about that too in a quote coming up a little later. Someone else says, I found that I was taking classes I didn't need to graduate while missing credits in others. I was told to stay at SA for a 5th year. They admitted that a different school would adjust my schedule so I might be able to graduate on time, but said public schools are bad. You don't really want to go to one of those. What was I just saying? They bash all public schools as an intimidation tactic so that you'll be too scared to leave. Of course, many are bad, but others are great and very supportive. Exactly what I was just saying, couldn't have said it better. And another quote just to tie the bow on that. I have mounds of anxiety and depression I cultivated under the stress of being in an environment where the sole mission is to produce perfection. Success capitalizes on presumably uneducated Black and brown families and convinces them that their children cannot be successful without them. My biggest mistake was allowing Success Academy to make me feel worthless without them. Coughing with a bow. In another instance, profiting off these kids while still pushing her out. When high-profile donors toured our school, some teachers would bring kids with behavioral issues or disabilities to the office because they didn't want the donors to see them. See now, we try to get y'all on every other day, but when the important people here that are coming to give us money,
You hide away in the office. They not gonna see you.
I wish you would ruin my chances of getting money, even though if you weren't here, we wouldn't be a school without y'all anyway, but you know. And forget about the missing out on learning. I thought the school was for them. So when the donors here, they sit in the office, they miss out on what the class is doing because they want to keep a class a little perfection, little scholars. Now another quote that introduces us a little small 3-part story. I had a kindergarten student that would repeatedly wet his pants. One morning he asked me if he could go to the bathroom, but it was not our class's time to go. I saw another class headed there and asked the teacher if my kiddo could hop on the back of her line and she could just bring him back up when the class was finished. So simple, seems simple and easy, right? She said, of course. So I told him he could go. From down the hall, I heard,
No!
So I looked up and the principal was there. I explained and said he really had to go and he has had accidents in the past, so she knew that he was telling the truth. But the principal said no, he needs to learn to hold it. I believe it. So again, I think he really needs to go, and I've already had to call his mom about accidents and would really like to just let him go. Then I kid you not, he said, the principal, that's not the answer you need to give me. The answer should be, okay. So I rolled my eyes and said, okay, and gently told the student to please try his best to hold it. Later that day, I got an email from the principal, which I knew would be coming. In our meeting, he had a whole talk with me about how I needed to not argue with him. He then said, and what happened when you made him hold it? The kid, of course, had an accident. What you think gonna happen? And in 2020, when anti-racist trainings for employees was demanded, instead SA decided to prioritize cybersecurity. The employees had 0 anti-racist trainings and 10 monthly cybersecurity trainings. Each employee was threatened with termination if they did not complete even one of the monthly cybersecurity courses on time. Even though, this was uploaded to one of the school's pages. And how the person was able to sign in, because their password was success123 on all 7 accounts that the person signed into to upload this thing, showing how, I guess the cybersecurity really paid off, huh? They signed in successfully on the first try to all 7 accounts, password success123. to upload this little statement of everything they're not doing. But you can't implement trainings for something that's clearly an issue. See how they deal with this recent lawsuit. Now, I couldn't leave this video without adding a little personal mess to the behind the scenes mess, since I done been behind the scenes a couple times. I was elected to be president of the whole entire school, of this little elementary school, while I was a student there.
My name is Kisan Stubbs, and you should vote for me as president.
Thinking back now, they kind of little tricked us into thinking, you know, we was gonna be there helping, you know, being a voice for the students, the voice that was needed. They just really had you there preaching their robot rules. Had me standing on top of the desk at lunch when it got too loud to tell everybody to be quiet. Or else silent lunch like it's the military. I guess I was a slice out of Disneyland for them. So, you know, I wasn't one of them that they wanted to push out. So I guess they wanted to exert my influence a little more. So, you know, with that being said, I always did the work, you know, exceeded their expectations. So, you know, if there was ever a problem, there was a genuine, you know, either miscommunication or a genuine mistake that led to it not being done. There was an assignment. There were multiple assignments. I completed all of them, except for this one little part there, and it was easy to miss. Because you see, I would have not do it on purpose because I was doing everything else. So why would I leave that one little thing that was off to the side that somebody could have clearly done forgot about? A genuine forgetting, because I done did all the 57 other things you asked me to do. But there was this one little small part that I was doing like, oops, that had just hit me when this certain teacher asked for.
No wonder the school acts bad. They got a bad president for an example.
Me, a little third grader who do all his with, they ain't got nothing. I know I'm the president and y'all use me. Y'all should be good. Is this the thanks that I get? Me, a little third grader. You their teacher. No wonder they act bad. You in charge. I do all my work, and this is one little outlier case where I forgot this one little tiny thing. And then it was a genuine mistake. She gonna say, no wonder this school acts bad. They got you. I was still, you should, teacher, that's this teacher that done said that. You should be wishing they did all of it, but forgot one little thing like I just did. So how no wonder they act bad? Because of me. Like all the other kids was stalking my homework habits and noticed that I forgot that one little thing, making the kids stay upstairs if they didn't do a good job on their work that day. When it's time to go home for dismissal, making the kids stay upstairs would have them not even going over the work or showing them what they did wrong. They would be up there, you know, just chatting up with their buddies. They just upstairs making the parent work for nothing to say, oh, your kid didn't do that. You could have told me that downstairs. Found that I had her kids teaching spots in that school who just graduated before keeping that chess master another second. Kids and wearing whatever they want too. Oh, but at home, all kids uniforms because, you know, they want to look. But what happened to the strict order and civility? Or do the strict order and civility rules and the rigid discipline only apply to the black student with the do-rag and the hoodie on? We being real, this is Theory City. We spilling out the theories, but it's making a lot of sense. Doing tests every day to lead up to that state test. Done had a whole protest for a math teacher, black, that was fired for teaching students about slavery/racism. And would, you know, spill a lot of the behind the scenes mess that was going on. It's fired on the spot for teaching things that don't align to success values. What is the success values if they can't teach about that? If they do it in history class, no, because he was doing it on own home. But no, because he was spilling and connecting it to success and what they was doing. They wanted us that quick. Goes to show a lot about the culture. Teacher had to leave because it was making her cry every day walking in there. You shouldn't feel that sad and depressed at a place you walk into every day to go to work. Was then told she needed therapy multiple times when addressing her concerns. And something else that is very apparent, these teacher staff, they do not get paid nearly enough, you know, for all of the mess that they have to go through and all the hard work. You know, a lot of them want to leave. A lot only stay for the kids. and then leave out right after the kid leave when they graduate. See, teachers, it's a revolving door. They in and out. Why people keep leaving? Why people don't want to stay? They don't want to work there. The only time the founder want to pop on up is when she want to talk about needing more space to build a new school. It done had a whole alumni event to bring us here to talk about how they need teachers and how they compensate us if we find someone to teach, and then compensate even more to have that person stay for at least this amount of days, and desperate, begging for people who want to stay. But no, let's really talk about why they don't want to stay. Over there suspending the kids for dumb stuff like not moving to their seat fast enough and making them spend whole entire days in a lower grade for touching the wall and so on and all that. But I thought we were prioritizing learning. I heard certain places that got worse since I last stepped foot in there though. But like I said, this ties back into the suspension rate so high, pressuring people to leave that they don't want there anyway. Used to grade each kid at the door personally in the morning. Now certain principals don't even know none of these kids' names, but encouraging teachers to cheat for them on the strip turf. It's all about the money. Was sitting in the office one time in elementary school, way back. I was sick, had a little ice pack or something that was laying there. I guess they forgot I was there. Another teacher, staff, I guess it was a lost and found bin, go look at a sweater. You'd be like, yeah, whose is that? And the lady at the desk, she gonna say,
oh yeah, that's blah 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 sweater. She always keeps some nasty.
I looked up from my ice pack, I said, ah. And the lady who said it said, ooh, I'm sorry, I forgot you was there. No, okay, kids do, some kids do be nasty, some kids do be familiar, I can't put it right. But I'm just saying that just to show how, if they were so comfortable in there, I mean, okay, I could give you that. Some kids do be keeping this nasty stuff. But if they was that comfortable with that, and she had to catch herself and say, oops, sorry, because she saw I was in there, certain characters was discussing in that main office, I'll tell you. Because I could tell that wasn't her first time doing a little chitty chat about the kids. If she was that comfortable saying that, I know they was going deeper in there. But you know, I love the college program and they helped me get there, so I guess that means shush about all the other mess I heard.
No!
Just like that principal that said he couldn't pee. Because just like they love to hold their little beloved scholars accountable for their actions, they must be held accountable as well. Integrity, guys. So in our opinion here today, essay is the most controversial because, you know, a lot of people stay for the education. Like me, you know, you think, you know, I would rather that than one of the public schools because they are bad schools. But at the same time, too much can't be overlooked and the good stats can't be used as an excuse to keep sweeping under the dotted rug. You know, so what do you guys think? If you was there, please feel free to comment, like, subscribe, share your info, your experience, your thoughts on the school. You know, I don't want to hear you want to stay for that because they do have some good stuff. Like I said, to be honest, I would not change my decision to stay. I would still go to them, whatever rather than try my luck and with their mind-blowing scores. But at the same time, like I said, all that other stuff can be overlooked because of all that good stuff, which is why they are the most controversial. But cheers to a new era. Please let us know what else you want to see here on Theory City. It's a new day, ding dong, the witch is dead. So let us know what else you want to see. And don't apply this to essay. Why do you think they call it survivors of essay? We don't survive. We had something to survive. There's other good schools, y'all. It's not for everybody.